What a devastating blow to the offensive line if true. Free Mike Johnson. What the hell is this, Lane? Oh, man, looking like a lame duck out there. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fegcu. Going to discuss this situation, this sticky situation in Philly right now. Lane Johnson facing a 10-game suspension. Mike, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, what the hell, man? Here we are, Tuesday. The first preseason game is Thursday. We're all getting pumped up for that. And really, all NFL fans across the country are getting pumped up for the preseason because the Hall of Fame game was called off. So we're just, craving football at this point. And then today, doing our normal routines, and then we hear this news, and all of a sudden, everyone in Philadelphia suddenly becomes a scientist, and we have to try to figure out, what the hell amino acids are and how this affects the body. And right now, that's what Lane Johnson's agent is trying to figure out too, because if this is true and Lane Johnson is going to be suspended for 10 games. We'll get into it, but it would be really a devastating blow for this team.
All right, here are the details. So he's facing a 10-game PED suspension. So technically, he hasn't been suspended as of yet. Keep that in mind. This report was by WIP's Darren I don't know how to fucking pronounce his name. Darren DeCatano, and later confirmed by Howard Eskin and Ian Rappaport. So you got DeCatano and Eskin. I mean, I don't know how credible those guys are, but then when Ian Rappaport confirmed it, then we're like, all right, maybe there's something to this here. This would be the second offense for Johnson if he gets suspended. Signed a 5-year, $56.3 million contract over the offseason, made him the highest right-paid tackle in the league, but he will not see guaranteed money if he is suspended.
Yeah, I think that's really the key there. And this is where, I mean, if it turns out that it's a positive test and he's suspended 10 games, I mean, it would really blow for us, but it would help the Eagles out as far as that, they wouldn't have to worry about giving, Lane Johnson all that guaranteed money. Now, Lane Johnson could still earn that money, but it just wouldn't be guaranteed. So that's how the situation could help out the Eagles financially. But on the field, it's just really, it's not a good situation. Coming into the season, really both tackle positions, we were set with Peters and then Lane Johnson. And then we figured if we had to, we could throw, a Dennis Kelly in there or Matt Tobin if Peters went down for a few games. But, now it's not looking good because it's a guarantee that Peters is definitely going to get hurt multiple times during the season, probably every single game. So, and then if we don't have Lane Johnson, we're probably looking at, Tobin and Dennis Kelly being, starting tackles at some point this season.
I wonder if EDP made a video yet. I'm sure he's pissed. All right. So on the depth chart, it says Dennis Kelly and I'll just call him Big V. So Big V and Dennis Kelly are the right tackles on the depth chart, but I think Matt Tobin would be the guy that would step in and play right tackle. I wanted to get into this Jay Glazer tweet. So let's talk about this too. Just heard from Lane Johnson. Here's where we get to the amino acids and being scientists and shit. Just heard from Lane Johnson. Says he took an amino acid that was approved but tested positive for peptide, fighting it as well as company. You're responsible for what goes in your body, but he insists it was approved. Waiting on B sample. And then there's tweets from Les Bowen, Jeff McClain. Here's from McClain. Lane Johnson just responded to text message and said that all was good and denied report he's been suspended for 10 games for PED use. Bowen said, well, texting with Lane Johnson, who just said he was asleep and nothing is going on. I'm puzzled. So there we go.
Yeah, so there's those tweets there that I'll throw this one that just came out recently, and this is a statement from Lane Johnson's agent, and he goes on to say that we are aware that a member of the media has started a rumor that Lane will be suspended for a PED violation. Lane has not been suspended, and any report to the contrary is false. Nonetheless, we will not comment on my client's protected health information. So the statement from his agent is, it's pretty much true because Lane Johnson has not been suspended at this point. And like you were saying about this B test, that's what it all goes back to. So we're waiting on the B test. If the B test comes back positive, then Lane Johnson is pretty much screwed. He's going to get a 10-game ban. And then he would be able to, I guess he would be able to, would you be able to appeal that B test then?
I would guess so. I mean, I'm not some fucking expert, so I don't know the answer to that question, but it sounds like he's going to appeal whatever he's appealing. There is an appeal that's going to happen. So he's going to be like Tom Brady and take his balls to court.
Yeah. So I mean, with Lane Johnson, if he's going to appeal this, if it comes back positive, the chances of it getting overturned are very slim, considering that he's already violated, this PED thing once already, and that was a 4-game ban back in 2014. So, then now that, the big concern becomes here now is, with these new PED rules is 3 strikes and you're out. So if you would get another violation after this one, that would be 3 strikes and he would never be able to play in the NFL again. And geez, that would be, devastating for a guy that they thought was going to be their, right tackle, then eventually left tackle for years to come. So, really at this point, all we can do is pray that Lane Johnson is right, because Lane Johnson seems like he's adamantly denying this report. So I guess we got to, have faith in Lane here.
Well, we better hope and pray and say a couple Our Fathers, because if he is suspended, we are fucked. We are absolutely fucked, because the depth at tackle is putrid. I mean, we've seen this a couple years ago. Remember when we had all the injuries to the offensive line and the tackles that stepped in? Dennis Kelly, Matt Tobin, these guys are turnstiles.
Yeah, Dennis Kelly, it just makes me cringe. And the fact that we're going to have to, see this guy again probably is just horrible news. And it's not good for, the quarterback back there. And, we already know Bradford's history with injuries. So, Bradford now lasting through a whole 16 games seems very unlikely. Then we're going to have to go to Chase Daniel. And I mean, we were both hoping to see Carson Wentz at some point this season. And now we're starting to get a little bit worried about that. I don't know if we want to throw him on the field if we have Tobin and Kelly out there as tackles.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Especially if both of them are out there. Because you look at Peters, like, that's the key thing with Lane, too, is he can just, go out there, play left tackle, too, if Peters goes down. Missed 2 games last year, left several others due to the nagging injuries. He's already left 2 practices during training camp. So it seems like Peters getting hurt is inevitable. And but now you can't even slide Lane to left tackle if this suspension happens. So, I think you made this point before already, but we could have afforded some injuries at guard, because there's some guys that can play guard on this team. Maybe not greatly, but there are some, solid options. They drafted Sayumalo. They got Wisniewski, Gardner, Barbary. So there are guys that can play guard, but tackle it's almost as bad as the depth at linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, it's slim pickings, and we do have a Big V, but I mean that's such a late round pick that he's not going to be ready in year 1. You can't just throw that guy out there. He'll just get annihilated. So I hate the options of Dennis Kelly and Matt Tobin, but I would rather have one of those guys out there than put Big V out there right away. The other guy that we could mention, Andrew Gardner, I guess he could be an option too. We do, I doubt that they would have Semawala go out and play tackle. Wisniewski, maybe a possibility. He's a veteran that's been in the league for a while, but that's really not his natural position. I doubt that they would throw him out there. So, Yeah, it's a major hole if this Lane Johnson thing comes out and it's true.
Actually, that's a good point you make with Gardner and Barbary. I wouldn't mind maybe flipping one of those guys out there, and because you can have Wisniewski play guard or something like that.
Yeah.
So whoever wins the starting job, whatever. There's 3 or 4 guys fighting for that left guard spot. So I could see something like that. Too bad Todd Hermans isn't on this team anymore. Could put him out at right tackle.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly we need all the help that we can get right now at the tackle position. The thing here with the suspension, when it happened 2 years ago, it was something that you could deal with because it's only 4 games. But now when you're talking about a 10-game suspension, it's the first 10 games of the season, and that really hurts you because, I mean, that's pretty much the, entire season. And if you want to have any hopes of, trying to win a division or make the playoffs, you got to try to get off to a good start in those first 10 games. So if, they don't have Lane Johnson in there at right tackle for those first 10 games, they're going to be in big trouble. I mean, there's already plenty of questions on the offensive side of the ball, and how are we going to be able to put up points? So if you take away a key position on that offensive line, it just adds more questions to the offense.
Yeah. Now you can make this argument possibly, and I'm curious to see how this works out because Kansas City last year, their tackles weren't great, and one of the things that Kansas City did, quick 3-step passing game. Now, these tackles were still getting beat. That's how bad they were. Donald Stevenson and Eric Fisher is already a bust. So I can see them, quick 3-step drops, don't take any deep drops. But what that deters is the deep ball. You're not going to throw a lot of deep balls. So it really limits what you can do offensively.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of short passes, and I think really what this means is, we've been talking about possibly 3 tight end sets. I think this suspension would maybe emphasize that even more. I think it would be a guarantee that you would see a ton of 3 tight end sets. And, Trey Burton's he's been having an outstanding training camp. And I think it would even, more so have him play more during the regular season. I think you would see more of him. You would see him getting more receiving attempts. So I think that, really the tight ends would see a lot more action because, the quarterbacks are not going to have much time back there. So it'll be short passes, like you said.
Fucking Lane, man. I'm starting to get sick of this guy, too. Last year he makes the comments about the fans. He's been outspoken and shit. And now he goes out and does this. Even if it gets overturned, I still I'm getting to a point where I can't stand this guy.
Yeah, it's possible. All those amino acids were, getting to his brain last year, and that's when he was. You remember he was making those videos sometimes on a weekly basis or every few weeks, and it would just be a quick 15-second clip of him, just going off saying I was really pumped up for the game or something. And I mean, it is what it is. I was fine with that, but I kind of started to, turn against Lane after he had that first suspension. I'm not a fan when these guys decide to go the PED route, and you just got to be smart. So obviously he wasn't smart the first time, and in my opinion, you do it again, you're a complete idiot. So even who knows what this amino acid thing is? He's saying wasn't on the list, but you got to know this stuff and how it reacts in your body and all that kind of stuff. So it's it's just really pure stupidity, and especially when you know that you're very limited in depth at that position on your team. You got to be much smarter than Lane Johnson is.
There's something that hasn't really been talked about much this offseason, but Lane Johnson pretty much got the same amount of money as Byron Maxwell did last year. And what has Lane Johnson really ever done? He is a little bit overrated. His pass protection isn't great. He's the highest paid right tackle in the league, and he's not even the best one. I don't even know if he's a top 5 right tackle. he's a good run blocker. He's solid. He's a solid athlete, but I do think he's a tad overrated.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I don't think that he's really lived up to the expectations when we drafted him. So, and then the problem with this is now if you throw in another 10-game suspension, when he comes back, he's going to be rusty. I mean, you can't just take off 10 games and then expect to come back and, be 100% and play with these guys. NFL is such a fast game. It's not like college where you can just miss a game or two and then just get right back in there. A few years ago when he faced that first suspension, 4 games, it's not that harsh. You can come back a bit faster. But when you're talking about 10 games, pretty much a whole season there that we're going to be without him.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. At least he's been better than Luke Jokel and Eric Fisher. There's been a lot of buzz recently.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, seems like we got the best one out of that class, but it's I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just really horrible news because I think we were both expecting maybe we can pull out 6 or 7 wins this year, but with the news today, I'm really starting to question, what they're going to do on offense. I don't think that we're going to have enough firepower to put up the points. And, we're both a little, bit skeptical about the defense. I don't think that we're as high as everyone else is, especially with the second half of the schedule. It's going to be tough for us to get to 5 wins.
Yeah, I think people are, they're just assuming just because we have Jim Schwartz now that the defense is just going to take a huge tread upwards. But doesn't necessarily work that way. You got a new system in place now, so it's going to take like 4 to 8 games to adjust. And there's some good players on the defense, but like Malcolm Jenkins is the only star. Well, Fletcher Cox too. Fletcher Cox and Malcolm Jenkins are really the only 2 stars. You have guys that have potential to be stars, Vinny Curry, Jordan Hicks, stuff like that, but they're not there yet.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And then you have to, I think the linebackers, we have a very limited depth behind them. And Kendricks has already gotten hurt in practice, so he's dealing with a minor injury. So, something like that comes up again in the regular season, and he has to miss a few games. All of a sudden, we're very thin at the linebacker spot. So, and so now I guess we can, I guess what we'll cover is the Eagles did come out with their unofficial depth chart heading into Thursday's preseason game. We'll just, wrap it up with that and, discuss some things that were a little bit surprising to us.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. As I know Jordan Matthews got hurt, so I saw Aguilar was up there.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was that on defense, our starting cornerbacks were McKelvin and then Ron Brooks.
Oh, well, obviously.
Obviously. But
Yeah,
that was now this unofficial depth chart. It's definitely unofficial because I believe it's done by the PR department, so there's really not much say from the coaching staff. But I definitely and so then speaking of the cornerbacks, Eric Rowe was listed as a 3rd string cornerback, which was very surprising. And he's a one guy who I feel like people have really given up hope on. And I'm not sure why. He's the guy that I would still throw out there and start this season because I think that he's a regular season guy. We saw this last year where he struggled with the new system and had trouble in training camp in the preseason.
Yeah, I'm with you there because it literally took him like half a season to get going there. Obviously they say he struggled against Calvin Johnson. I thought I would use the word competed with Calvin Johnson because Calvin was getting separation, but it wasn't like huge separation. It was minimal. It's just Calvin Johnson is just fucking beast. That's why they call him Megatron. But after that, Rowe was locking shit down. So now he's got to learn a new system. I'm curious to see, in the preseason, these games, and leading up to the regular season, how these cornerbacks are playing. Are they off coverage? Are they pressing at the line of scrimmage? Because Rowe is a press guy, and if he's not playing press, he does struggle a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think that, really these preseason games, that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the cornerbacks and seeing, who's standing out, who is going to, be able to be in there on week one. And if Ron Brooks is starting week one, then I don't know what the hell is going through Jim Schwartz's mind, but he might be taking some amino acids too, if that's the case.
I think what it seems like is, well, these guys know the system, so that's why they're on the depth chart. Because Nolan Carroll's also coming back from injury, so maybe he's just not really there yet from a physical standpoint, and hasn't really got to knock some rust off. I think he just started practicing like a week or two ago, so I don't think he's gonna. There's no way Ron Brooks is gonna be the starting cornerback in week one against Cleveland. No fucking way.
No, it can't be. And then I guess the other thing to take away from the depth chart, this isn't really a surprise if you've been seeing the reports from training camp, but it seems like Caleb Sturgis is going to be the kicker this season. But I don't have much faith in Sturgis, but he seems like he's winning in training camp. Parkey, I guess he's struggling coming back from that injury. So right now, it looks like Sturgis is going to be the man.
Whew. Fucking Caleb, man. I don't trust him at all. At all. It's terrible. Oh, come on, Cody. You can win it. You got this. All right. I guess final thoughts time. You got anything?
Yeah, just I guess I would just say really if this does come out and it's true that he's going to be suspended 10 games, just really disappointment. Just really disappointed in Lane Johnson because it's really going to set us back. Because if he gets suspended again, how can you trust the guy to not do it again? And then if he did it again, he would be kicked out of the league. And then, then we're really set back because now all of a sudden you got to think about, taking a tackle high in the draft for the future. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I remember the first time he got suspended, I think his excuse was he said he took a substance that he didn't know was on the ban list, and now he's kind of doing it again. So I got to question his intelligence. Come on, dude. You're a fucking dumb fuck. You got to check these things out. Like Jay Glazer said, you got to make sure you know what you're putting in your body. Oh, man. All right, that's it. Mike Owens, I'm Adrian Fedq. We're out. We'll be doing a recap after Thursday's game, so make sure you stay tuned. Later.
Later.